Welcome back to Pan-Africanism Reawakening. In today's video, I've compiled for you a powerful and inspiring overview of the incredible developments happening in Burkina Faso under the leadership of our most loved leader in Africa, Ibrahim Traoré. Under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, ladies and gentlemen, this nation is not just surviving, it's thriving and reshaping the initiative for Africa's future. From cutting-edge innovative in defense to bold economic and infrastructure policies, Burkina Faso is emerging as a key player on the continent, the entire continent, and watch out. Very soon, it will be competing with the most developed economies in the world. If you've missed any of these revolutionary updates, remember we bring you updates, and sometimes you can watch in other videos and other places. This happened here, but today I decided to compile all of it so that you can have it all in one video. So if you've missed any of these updates, you are in the right place. Don't worry. Pan-Africanism Reawakening has it all for you in just one video, covering the latest from Burkina Faso that is sure to inspire and energize you to look forward to see what President Ibrahim has in store. So, my dear friends, viewers, and lovers of Pan-Africanism, youth of Africa, those aspiring to see a united Africa. Yes, Burkina Faso, a nation that once struggled under the weight of terrorism, is now rising from the ashes of reclaiming its power. Yes, a nation that once suffered under the ashes of terrorism is now doing what? Rising from its ashes and reclaiming its power. Under the stewardship of President Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso is rapidly transforming itself into a symbol of self-reliance, innovation, and resilience. That is a fact. From the controversial yet visionary decision to refuse Saudi Arabia's offer to build mosques and instead push for investment in schools, hospitals, and industries, to the bold step taken to manufacture drones for national defense. This is a country that refuses to bow to external pressure and is instead charting its own path to prosperity. Yes, we will come into details about the drones, about the mosque, and also even the invitation to the White House. He rejected all of this, but he chose to focus on the development of his country. It is just the beginning. President Ibrahim Traoré is spearheading major infrastructural developments, major infrastructural projects, including the inauguration of a cement processing factory and construction of West African largest specialized hospitals. That's just the beginning of what President Ibrahim Traoré is doing. President Ibrahim Traoré is spearheading major infrastructural projects. Yes, including the inauguration of a recent cement processing factory in his country and the construction of one of West Africa's largest specialist hospitals. Yes, this is what President Ibrahim Traoré is doing. Burkina Faso is not just making headlines with its development initiatives, but it is also reshaping the regional trade landscape in Africa. Yes, it is reshaping the regional trade landscape in Africa, reducing imports from Côte d'Ivoire in favor of Ghana, and positioning itself as a central player in the West Africa economy. Yes, this is what Ibrahim Traoré is doing, and we love him for it. The youth of Africa love the man's vision. They love what he is doing for Africa, but most especially what he's doing for his country. President Ibrahim Traoré's vision does not stop there. It doesn't stop at the level of those infrastructures and all of those favors. Burkina Faso's government is focusing on empowering its people, investing in industries, and ensuring that resources like the gold are used to finance the country's industrialization. Yes, the government's fiscal discipline is evident as they repay debts and prioritizes economic growth and the welfare of the people of Burkina Faso. Are Burkina not fortunate to have a leader like President Ibrahim Traoré? Again, let's not forget the social impact of what all of this is causing. From rehabilitating programs for former prisoners to the development of agricultural initiatives empowering women, the president is building a society just like his predecessor. We all know, or we've all read, or even if you didn't read, at least you've heard how President Thomas Sankara empowered women in Burkina Faso. So President Ibrahim Traoré, his initiative does not only end at the level of agricultural initiative, but also empowering women. So the president is building a society that's not just about survival, but about striving. It's about thriving. This is what Burkina Faso is on the headlines, on every news outlet. It's Burkina Faso these days. And like I said, I decided to put everything together and show you. So, my dear viewers, lovers of Pan-Africanism, lovers of President Ibrahim Traoré, lovers of the development of Africa, lovers of African unity, lovers of leaders who can stand their grounds and refuse to be puppets to Western leaders. Yes, this video takes you through every aspect of Burkina Faso's remarkable transformation, showing you a country that is no longer just a battleground, but a beacon of hope and progress in Africa, an envy to all African nations. So join me as we explore Burkina Faso and what it is doing to reshaping its future and inspiring the entire African continent to reclaim its destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you I was going to put everything in one video so you can see the progression, because when you pick here and there, you don't really feel the impact. But when you have everything put together in one, then you can understand and appreciate what has been done so far. Burkina Faso is witnesses a new era under the leadership of Captain or President Ibrahim Traoré. With a commitment to sovereignty, self-defense, and economic development, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is steering his country away from the usual model of dependency. Remember, he has that mantra of ousting or not depending on foreign domination, ousting the imperialists out of his country. No to imperialism. This is Ibrahim Traoré. If you have followed him from when he took over office, you will know that he is a no-nonsense person when it comes to foreign domination. He does not take any prisoners. Yes. In this video, we'll explore how Burkina Faso so far is defying all the odds, because African leaders believe that they cannot survive without the support of foreign powers. But in this video, we are seeing how Ibrahim Traoré is defying all the odds, reshaping its future and becoming a beacon of hope for the entire continent. And we hope that African leaders or anyone that will watch this video can learn from it, and their country's leaders can learn from it and see how a young man defies every odd and stand his grounds and stands against imperial rule and stand against foreign domination or foreign dependence. This is what this video is all about. One of President Ibrahim Traoré's most significant decision came when he rejected an offer from Saudi Arabia to build 200 mosques in Burkina Faso. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, Burkina Faso is a Muslim country. When Saudi Arabia came in and suggested that they wanted to build 200 mosques in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré knew that Burkina Faso didn't need more mosques. He knew that the people of Burkina Faso, what they need is development. Instead of accepting, he proposed that the kingdom of Saudi Arabia should invest in schools, should invest in hospitals, should invest in businesses, projects that will create jobs and empower the youth of Burkina Faso and empower Burkinabés.
Burkina Faso, like many nations, has faced hardship, poverty, instability, external interference. But true change does not come from prayers alone. It comes from choices, from courage, from leadership that sees beyond mere gestures of faith. A true leader is recognized by his priorities. He does not seek temporary applause or empty admiration. He seeks lasting impact. And so Ibrahim Traoré chose schools over mosques, healthcare over symbolism, economic growth over passive reliance. Not because he is against faith, but because he believes in a faith that works through action, a faith that empowers, heals, and builds, a faith that understands God is in the work of our hands. The world is watching Africa, watching its rise, its resilience, its revolution of thought. The days of passive acceptance are over. The time for purposeful action is now. So tell me, what would you choose?
This is what a true leader is. This is how a true leader sees and reasons. President Ibrahim Traoré would have said, oh yes, I will be counted amongst the countries with the highest number of mosques in Africa or in the world. And what purpose does that serve? Even if you go under the tree as a Muslim, put your mat there and pray, you will still pray to your God. President Ibrahim Traoré said, what Burkina Faso need at this time is not mosque. They need defense of their country. They need their children to be in school. They need the agricultural sector to boost the agricultural sector. They need hospitals. They need road networks. They need infrastructures. They need businesses. They need stuff that will empower the youth, that will create job opportunities and better the lives of Burkinabés, not mosque. That is a leader. Speaking, President Ibrahim Traoré said, Africa does not need more mosques or churches. Listen, that is the president. That was an offer given to him on a platter of gold. But President Ibrahim Traoré said, Africa does not need more mosques or churches. We need education. We need healthcare. We need jobs. We need infrastructural development. This is how we build a strong future, not by building many mosques in any country. That additional one is my own. Yes, this is what he said. So his vision is very clear. When you listen to the guy, when you listen to President Ibrahim Traoré, you know that this is a man with a vision. His vision is very clear. True development comes not through religious structures, but through sustainable industries and institutions. That is a leader. We've also seen the manufacturing of drones to combat terrorism. We all know how Burkina Faso has suffered in the hands of terrorists. So President Ibrahim Traoré took another step forward to manufacture drones so they can monitor and survey their country from every angle. So there has been a manufacturing of drones in Burkina Faso. So another bold initiative that Burkina Faso took was to drive to manufacture its own drones. Yes. These drones are not just for show. You and I know. We all know what has been happening in the Sahel. But they are as essential tool in the fighting against terrorism, just like food in the agricultural industry. So Traoré is not only building a defense system, but also training the youth to safeguard the nation's future. When President Ibrahim Traoré went to the industry, or when it was introduced, the drones that has been produced so far, while speaking to the people or addressing the nation, he said, "Homeland or death. Homeland or death. Our future, our security, our sovereignty depends on it." He said, "It is homeland or death. Our future, our security, and our sovereignty depends on it." That is a leader who has a vision for his country speaking. It is homeland or death. And I can resonate with his words very well. I resonate with his word very well because when I hear him speak like this, I hear my leader speaking through him, Dr. Cholukas Ayaba. Now, let us look at the cement industry, the cement factory that Burkina Faso has also erected. President Ibrahim Traoré's vision for economic development is further realized with the inauguration of a new cement factory in Longo. This factory will not only contribute to the country's infrastructure, but also provide local jobs, fueling the nation's industrialization. Who doesn't like this? While speaking during the inauguration, he had this to say. President Ibrahim Traoré said, this is more than just a factory. This is more than just a factory. This is a symbol of Burkina Faso's journey towards self-reliance. These were his words. Speaking during the inauguration of that factory, he said, this is more than just a factory. For you, Burkinabe, standing here and thinking this is just another factory. No, it is more than just a factory. This is a symbol of Burkina Faso's journey towards self-reliance. That is powerful.
Captain Ibrahim Traoré continues to strengthen Burkina Faso's development and self-reliance. During his visit to Ziniere, he met with regional leaders and inaugurated a new cement factory, reinforcing his commitment to boosting local industries. He emphasized the need to lower cement prices by utilizing Burkina Faso's natural resources like limestone and clay, ensuring efficient production. Traoré also criticized Western narratives, labeling Burkina Faso as unstable, pointing out that despite imperialist attempts to deter investors, industries continue to grow. He referenced how companies that once hesitated due to negative portrayals are now returning, proving that the country remains open for business. This aligns with his past economic strategies, including the nationalization of key resources and efforts to cut foreign dependency. His leadership stands in contrast to many African leaders. Burkina Faso is a reference, and we must keep the flame burning high. Today, after this event, we will inaugurate a cement factory, another new plant in Burkina Faso. The hope is that in the coming days, we will be able to engage in discussions with all cement factories to explore ways to lower cement prices. We believe there are possibilities. Even better, we have limestone and clay in Burkina Faso. If we manage to exploit these resources efficiently and engage in discussions with cement producers, as we did last time, We should be able to leverage these materials to reduce the cost of cement. So we will negotiate with all of them to see what can be done. This will enable us to build our country because our nation is under construction. Moreover, this is a signal to those who are here today. They arrived in 2023 at a time when the imperialists had painted Burkina Faso as a dangerous red zone destination, discouraging investment. But despite this, these investors brought their money, invested, and built the factory. I believe they completed it as early as last October. It was our duty to come here, support them, and send a message to the world. Burkina Faso is not what some claim it to be. Those who labeled our country as a red zone are lying. You can see that right after this, Air France announced that it would no longer operate flights to Burkina Faso because it was supposedly too dangerous. But we said, no problem. You are free not to come to Burkina Faso. However, you are not the best airline in the world. If other airlines continue to operate here, then it proves that you are lying. The other companies are still coming to Burkina Faso. This proves that imperialists are very skilled at deception. They create narratives and push businesses to follow them in order to make their lies seem like the truth. They falsely claim that Burkina Faso was in a red zone, and then pressured Air France to follow their narrative, making it appear as though the country was genuinely unsafe. But we have no problem with that. Other airlines will continue operating here. Their deception did not work. And what happened? A short while later, Air France came back asking to resume flights. Well, if it has now turned green, you must officially announce that it is green before resuming your operations. This is just to show you the tactics of imperialism. You had listened to the media back then. They were making a huge fuss saying, Burkina Faso is so dangerous that even Air France has stopped flying there. But then a few weeks later, Air France reported an increase in its revenue. And now they are back, pleading with us to allow them to resume operations. If they want to operate here again, they must declare Burkina Faso as a green zone. And then we can start collaborating again.
President Ibrahim Traoré is a man of vision. You know, people were like, oh, he came to power through the coup d'etat. I bet you if every country in Africa has to go through the same move and shift to give us this level of development in Africa, you can have my 100% support. Because he has proven to Africa that this is what, that Africa can truly stand on its feet. You don't have to eat crumbs from the table of Westerners to be able to develop your own country, because they will never allow you to be self-reliant. They will never allow you to be truly independent, because if you are, you will shut the doors for their natural mineral resources, for the resources that they exploit from our continent to build their own countries. But President Ibrahim has proven himself. Now, let us also talk about infrastructures and regional trade, the shift in this move. We all saw on January 7, when the president of Ghana, when there was the inauguration of the president of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama, when Ibrahim Traoré landed at the Black Square, there was a lot of commotion. The place almost came to a standstill. You didn't know who was being inaugurated, whether it was President Ibrahim Traoré or John Dramani Mahama. The love that, it's not only Burkinabés that love him, the love that people have for him. So what are we talking about infrastructure and regional trade? The shift. Remember, in our monologue, we talked about not importing from Cote d'Ivoire, but from Ghana this time.
Honorable members, the full meaning of Burkina Faso means strong men and women of integrity. We have.
So to facilitate growth, and don't forget, Burkina Faso share borders in the north with Ghana. You can't go through Burkina Faso by land without passing through Ghana, through the north of Ghana. So there is that a land connection between Burkina Faso, and most of the importation is done by road from Burkina Faso through to Ghana down to Accra, and then further to whether to Tema or wherever for further exportation. So to facilitate growth, Burkina Faso is developing its infrastructures, right? Illegal structures are being demolished to make sure or to make way for a new railway linking Burkina Faso with Ghana, strengthening regional trade. Yes, it has always been by road or by air, but now Burkina Faso is trying to build a railway that links Burkina Faso and Ghana. So for this to happen, there's been a lot of demolition of little kiosks that are by the roadside or by the part that has been demarcated for this railway. So before there's ever a development, there must be a level of destruction of certain things. You must clean the dirt to be able to make the path straight. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a lot of demolition of stuffs, taking away little kiosks that stands on the path that has been marked for the railway. And this is to facilitate trade between Burkina Faso, Ghana, and other countries, neighboring countries. And take note that Burkina Faso is no longer looking to Ivory Coast as its main trading partner. No, Burkina Faso is diversifying. And because of the good relationship that John Dramani Mahama has demonstrated, you've seen him welcome President Ibrahim Traoré. You've also seen that he has visited, President Dramani Mahama has also visited the countries of the Sahel Alliance. And so he is no longer focusing Ivory Coast as his main trading partner. Instead, it's shifting from that to focus on Ghana. And we've seen the number of, there is a huge amount. It is now news that Burkina Faso has finalized the acquisition of the Tema multi-purpose terminal, hydrocarbon depot in Ghana for over $70 million. This has been done. There has been this acquisition of the Tema multi-purpose terminal. What the sum of $70 million. And like I said, there's been a shift from Ivory Coast to Ghana. Okay, let's move into fiscal discipline and economic revival. Yes. So I want to look at what this is. Why many African countries, ladies and gentlemen, today's video, there's something that is just, I have this internal joy when I see this level of development coming from a young president who just took office few years ago and has transformed his country the way President Ibrahim Traoré has done. So why many African nations struggle with debt? Burkina Faso is demonstrating remarkable fiscal discipline. Yes, every day you see Roto rushing to IMF to borrow money. You see Paul Biya of Cameroon or the dead vampire rushing to borrow money. Nigeria, even though Nigeria is the world superpower of Africa, and all of these countries still going to borrow money. But Burkina Faso is demonstrating remarkable fiscal discipline. In the first quarter of 2025, ladies and gentlemen, the government repaid 75% of its domestic debts, putting the country on a track to survive its economy, to revive its economy. 75% of its debt, its domestic debt.